Now then, everyone, this is the Wedding Mavericks podcast, a podcast for wedding photographers and videographers who want to build successful and sustainable businesses. My name's Lyndsey and I'm joined by Jules today, and on this episode we are discussing the use of minor adjustments to maybe your pricing or your packages if you've been finding it difficult recently to convert your leads.
Yeah, we've decided to talk about this through personal experience, and it's a huge thing, really. When you think about it, it's the biggest. Other than shooting weddings, getting bookings is like the biggest thing, isn't it? You know, it kind of, everyone gets that little bit of a buzz when someone books them, and because it's a fairly kind of saturated market is the photography and videography industry, and everyone's kind of feels like even though there's a community spirit, there's like a bit of competition and things like that. So if you haven't been getting bookings, or all of a sudden you start finding it a bit more difficult to convert people, it can really throw you.
Did with us.
It did with us. So we're basically talking about this now. We actually made the notes on this podcast to record it weeks ago. So it's not quite as relevant. You know, it's not as fresh, if you like. We're talking about something from a couple of months back now. But essentially, we got our last booking something like May. Was it something like May? We're talking in 2022. By the way, this is the last episode of the year, so this is goodbye 2022. This is the last episode of the year. So we hope you've had a nice Christmas. And we thought that we'd cover this because it's going to be coming up to booking season, and there's going to be a lot of activity in terms of enquiries and things like that. And, you know, this is the best time. If you're going to spend money on marketing, this is the best time to be putting your monny into marketing. That's exactly what we'll be doing. But, you know, we've been going a few years now, so we've got a few years experience of like the cycles, and it's one of the big questions that comes up in the groups and things, and people like different, you know, photographers and videographers will discuss amongst themselves. Certainly if we're doing video and we're working alongside a photographer, you know, at the wedding, and we're having a meal or whatever, and we're talking and just, you know, chewing the fat, it'll be one of the things that we talk about is like, you know, how you doing bookings wise, and how have you found it? And it's a question that comes up a lot, especially for people that are quite new to the industry. They'll say, when's the busiest time for inquiries and bookings and stuff? So everybody kind of it won't be the same for every single person, but the general consensus will be that the start of the year is usually the busiest in terms of inquiries and bookings. So, for us, this start of 2022, just like every other year, was the busiest period. And I remember last January, the January that's just gone, 2022, we had like over 100 inquiries in that month. So that was like, you know, quite a lot. And then we had you know, quite a few in the months after. We were doing quite a bit of marketing. We were spending some money on Instagram ads, and being quite active in terms of trying to get inquiries. But you know, we that was then, and then we got to kind of May, June time. So these are the notes I made. So we had over the summer, so between the 1st of June and the 16th of December, we had 158 inquiries. We probably had more than that.
That was looked at.
Because what I was going to say is that's what's in the CRM.
Okay.
Right.
So not including direct.
There are always direct emails and some social media ones, which even though we would always say you should put those into your CRM, and we do put most of them into the CRM, there's somewhere it's kind of, you know, it's quite clear it's not going anywhere, either because you're busy you're already booked, or because of what they say on the inquiry, and you give them a response and you never hear anything back from them. So, you know, that you don't end up putting it in the system, but you should put them all in the system because you really need to be collecting that data, and we'll talk about that in the future. But 158 leads, and I think it was before. It can't have been, because 16th for the 12th is today, so it's got to be the 11th.
No, it's the end of the month, isn't it?
Well, we're recording it a bit. Yeah, it doesn't matter, Lindsay, when we're recording it. It's when it goes out. But what I'm saying is that we're talking about a few weeks. Okay. Essentially, we've had around 150 inquiries without a booking. Not one booking. So the whole of the summer period, we didn't get a booking. And we won't lie, it was, as well as the stuff we talked about in the last episode where we were talking about you know, the personal situations that you can end up having to deal with and how that impacts on your business. You know, when you're busy shooting and you're trying to kind of get through your edits and stuff, your marketing does kind of take a backseat. You should always try and do some marketing and do some focus on it, but it takes a bit of a backseat. And then we just weren't getting any bookings. And it's the longest, it's by far the longest we've ever gone since we started doing this, like 5-6 years ago. This is the longest we've ever been without a single booking. Yeah. And because you're getting all those inquiries as well, it's not like that isn't many inquiries. We were just kind of thinking, well, what's going on? You know, is it us? And everybody feels like this. So is it us? Is it the market? You know, is it because the recession's coming? What's going on? You know, and we hadn't done anything massively different in terms of, you know, what we were offering, even in terms of what we were charging. I mean, yes, the prices were higher than they were the year before, but not by a crazy amount. And one of the things we did earlier on this year, again, something else we'll talk about, is we invested quite a lot of money and had a new website built. And I just don't think we never got chance, because that didn't go online until May time. We didn't really get chance to kind of properly set everything up the way that it wasn't optimized the way that we'd really want it to. I think we definitely, we dropped some SEO value and things during that process. But obviously we were still getting the inquiries, so we didn't think, oh, it's because people aren't liking the website and people aren't finding us. It was a case of we're still getting the inquiries, we're just not converting them. So, and because we kind of knew we were worth what we were charging, because people had been happy to pay it previously. You know, we'd even, prior to this period of not getting any bookings, we'd actually had some of the biggest bookings we've ever had, you know, multiple ones. It wasn't just the odd one. We'd kind of reached a level where we were like, right, wow, we're actually charging exactly what we wanted to charge, and we didn't think it would be as easy to charge that. So we kind of didn't think it was necessarily the price we were charging. You're thinking, is it the people? Is it the people that are finding you? Are you getting found by the wrong clients? Are we just not finding the people who've got the budget and all sorts?
Because we were putting so much money as well into the Instagram ads. I think as well, as part of the good thing with this is, we sat on it for a few months because we kind of wanted to persevere. We wanted to, although we know it's going to take a longer period of time, but we wanted to give the website chance to be able to, you know, in terms of the SEO ranking, we wanted to be able to we knew that in time would kind of catch back up. But in terms of Instagram ads, for me, I remember saying, you know, putting all this money into the ads there. Yeah. Are we now, in terms of pricing, are we a little bit too ambitious in terms of pricing for the audience that we're managing to connect with using those Instagram ads? Yeah. Should we now be focusing something more towards, you know, Google ads, which is something that we're going to invest more time into kind of understanding a little bit more about for the year ahead? But I remember questioning that as well, but you were quite, you insisted that no, we should persevere with that, because those higher priced bookings that that you just mentioned briefly, those people had found us because they'd seen us, because they'd seen a piece of work, or because
on
they'd
Instagram.
seen an ad that had run on Instagram.
They'd seen Instagram ads because, and the reason you know that is A, because of the information we're collecting when people are inquiring, but also because of the locations. So like, you know, we were getting, this year we had more jobs down south than we've had, you know, in the last few years. And if you're listening to this from another country and you're not in the UK, you know, the UK is a regional, like most places are in the world, and the north tends to be a little bit different in terms of affluency. Is that the right? Is affluency even a word?
Budgets that are available.
The budgets that are available. People tend to spend more money on things down south because they're just used to how much things cost. In the south of England, things cost more than they do in the north of England. Generally, that's not every single thing and in every single manner, and it's not a case of, you know, all the wealthy people live down south and the poor people live up north. It's not really like that. It's just that down south, historically, everything costs more. So for a wedding, everything costs more. So people's budgets are generally, not all of them, there are definitely amazing weddings that happen in the north and in Scotland, but generally, you know, people are just a little less budget conscious down south. So, you know, we were getting clients down south, and that's because of the Instagram ads, as well as some other bits and bobs we were doing, but they were the main thing. So in a nutshell, it had been a long period of time, like best part of 6 months. We hadn't had a single booking. We were getting worried, and it was basically a case of, right, we need to do something because this is starting to, and we'd left the pricing as it was, and we'd left all of the kind of website and social media, and all the funnels were kind of as they'd been, and we just thought, right, we're just gonna put a few tweaks on the website, put a little bit more work, easy to find. That's a separate conversation altogether. But the main difference, the main thing that we changed was that we added. We messed around with the structure of the packages. So it was basically looking at what the starting price was. So the starting price for me doesn't, from my perspective, if I'm thinking about how I would spend, the starting price doesn't matter, because what matters to me is what I've got to spend to get the thing. So let's use a car analogy, because I'm really into cars. If I'm looking at a car, I'm not going to look at the base model of that car, because I know I'd never buy the base model of a car. You know, I'd rather buy, if anybody knows about cars, I'd rather have like the top of the range Skoda Octavia VRS, this is a car I used to have, rather than the bottom of the range Audi, because I'm not like a badge person. I'd rather have the car that's got the nicest, you know, interior and the best engine and is most fun to drive, rather than having the car that's got the prestige badge, right? But it is effectively the same car. So that's how I think. So I would never look at the base model, if you like. I would always look at the model I want. But not everybody thinks like that. So you've kind of got to use a bit of psychology and get into the psychology of how people that are going to be, you know, hiring you, buying from you, what they're likely to do. So I was, you know, we'd made the prices, and I was of the opinion that, well, just, you know, package things together, because I'd tried the a la carte adding on thing multiple times. I've changed the prices so many times over the years to test different things, and found that it just wasn't really working with the lower price brackets. It wasn't working with the kind of a la carte setup. People desperately wanted packages, so we'd kind of continue with that, but continued kind of putting the price up. We'd obviously got to a place where the package was now sort of too high, really, for people to just go, yeah, I want that package, right? They were obviously looking at it and thinking, I didn't want to spend that. So they were just, that was it. You weren't hearing from them again. So just by tweaking things, splitting everything up, having a base starting thing, but knowing that actually people are going to add on to that. So they're going to start with just, let's say, with videography, they're just going to start with a highlight film. And if they want other edits, like ceremony speeches, stock edits and other things, they're going to have to add those on. That's going to bump the price up to actually what you want to charge. And that you're going to come, 8, 9 out of 10 people are going to add those things on. They're not just going to get a highlight film on its own. And as long as the highlight film is at a price where it's a happy price, you're not going to be disappointed if you have to just do the highlight film, then that works out for you. And literally we did that, and within literally the next 2 weeks we had 4 bookings, which was just crazy because we hadn't had a booking for months.
Yeah. And I think this is the great thing for me about the kind of photography videography community and how much people are willing to share their kind of ideas and experience and things like that, is that, that was the thing that helped us during this dry spell, if you like. That's what we did. We'd gone back to the drawing board. We'd decided, okay, a number of months had passed, gone back to the drawing board, picked it all apart from, didn't just go straight to pricing, structuring of the packages, picked it all apart. Was it the website? Was it us? Was it the standard of work? Was it what we were putting out there and marketing? Was it feedback from people, word of mouth, anything like that? Picked the whole thing apart. But it was, so, not only do we love making this podcast, but we love listening to other ones as well. Because we always, and I think this is a really great example of, we're not here to kind of preach to you because we're absolutely smashing it 365 days a year. We've got the whole thing sussed out and we are just continuing to grow, and we can charge a fortune. Absolutely not like that. And we're not ashamed to say to you that dry spell of 6 months,
it was a real confidence dent.
It was a real dent. Yeah, absolutely. So we knew that we had to do something. So, approaching it with an open mind, but actually listening and watching and hearing from other people in the industry, not just UK based, but around the world as well, and kind of taking those ideas, that knowledge and sort of past experience, people trying and testing different things, and that's exactly what we did. So like Jules had said, essentially what we've done is a bit of restructuring of the packages. We have considered the pricing, and we've kind of made the onboarding journey. We just tweaked the onboarding journey for the client ever so slightly, from the website to the point of the first point of contact, if you like, from us. And the key to that was looking back at it through the eyes of the client.
Yeah.
And that essentially is all we did. And so what you've just said there about that starting package, but then giving them the control almost to say, here are all the additional options, was still pretty much ended up.
It's the same price.
It's the same price ultimately.
In fact, in some respects, it might even be more depending on what they choose.
But they've taken control of making the decision of, okay, there's the starting package. And instead of looking at something that was actually, we'd been saying it for ages, those packages, they're too detailed, they're too packed. We need to strip it right back to basics. So there's where the client will start. And then they take control. They make the decision of, oh, well, actually, I'm getting that. Oh, no, but wait a minute. We want this included as well. We're going to want that. We tried to get calls in with people a lot sooner. So we gave them the information that they needed. Then we'd encourage a call sooner. And just the way that onboarding process had been tweaked made a difference, seemed to make a difference. And it's, I think it's proof in the pudding that it is good to kind of perhaps persevere for a certain amount of time with things, but don't get so complacent that you will think, nah, it'll be right. I'd just wait to December. I'll wait till Christmas. I'll wait till Valentine's Day.
Because I wish we'd made changes. I wish we'd made changes sooner.
Yeah.
And
seeing the impact that it had had.
Especially because, like, you know, literally, we got multiple bookings within a very short space of time. It could have just been coincidence, but it felt like a lot more than coincidence.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we actually weren't getting as many inquiries as we had have been getting. You know, it was literally like, instead of 0% conversion, we went to like 90% conversion within those couple of weeks. So there might be an element of coincidence, but I definitely think that it was because of what we'd done. And, you know, it was surprised because one of those bookings, you know, because we do photo and video, so some of them are photo and video. One of those bookings was just for video, and it was a long way away. It was like a few hundred miles away from where we live. And I remember thinking, Lindsay sent this quote out and she's not added travel. So if they only book this highlight package, oh my God, like, you know, it's not gonna be a very good job for us, this. But they ended up adding so much stuff on that it actually was, you know, it was a really good price. And it was probably better than what it would have been had we kept with the other packages, because I think it encouraged them to kind of spend a little bit more because of the way it was structured.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, over the years we've tested multiple things, you know, so we've tested the base and then the add-ons and the a la cartes, and we've tested the packages and having one package and having three packages and having price anchors and all sorts of stuff. And we've talked about pricing in previous podcasts, and we will do future podcasts about pricing. But I think the main thing is that your business is always evolving and you're always moving to different stages of your business. And if you have over, you know, if you don't regularly reassess these things and actively consider who your clients are, and what kind of market you're now operating in, have you moved from one kind of market to another, one kind of client to another, you need to keep on top of that, because what wasn't working previously and what was working previously changed over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, clearly. Well, not even that, maybe 6 to 12 months. And it was only because we decided, right, we need to do something because it's been so long, that we did. And that made a difference. And hopefully that continues to make a difference going forward. So obviously with, you know, it coming up to the start of the new year and it's going to be busy for inquiries and bookings, if you felt like something's just not clicking at the moment, you know, you really need to take a look at the whole thing, and see what you can do. Yeah.
I think ultimately you need to decide what feels comfortable for you in your business. Yes, there will always be a place for taking a bit of a risk, trying something that's a bit radical perhaps, but please don't forget the basics of understanding what keeps your business ticking over. What cost does your business have? How much are you charging? How many weddings do you know that you need to book? What's the aspiration for the year? At the very least, to be breaking even. Okay? Yes, remember that the goal is growth and sustainability over the kind of medium to long term for your business, but think in the here and now. And when those same methods are not working, just like you've said, it's really important that you get really deep down into exploring why it's no longer working. It could be something internally, okay? Be prepared for that. It could be something about the way that you're doing business, but it could equally be external as well, okay? So find out what it is at the earliest opportunity and then do what you can, all right, to adapt to the changes that you're seeing.
And if I'm being honest, and we're going to wrap it up in a second, but if I'm being honest, part of the motivation was looking at the fact that there's a recession, looking at the fact that potentially people might be spending less, in the next year or so. People might be cutting back on extravagant things like videographers for their wedding or weddings in general, and not really knowing. We don't know that's going to be the case, but it was a consideration, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a what if. We aren't booked up for next year. Nor would we want to be at this point, but we weren't booked up for next year. And it was like, what if we don't meet the targets because we're just staying with the same thing and we're not trying something? And it was kind of if we do this, it brings the starting price down. So it means that we can not only, because where we'd got to was we wanted to be accessed by a specific client base, because that's who we wanted to work with. But at the same time, we don't know if those people would necessarily find in us. So we can still work with those people, but we just didn't want to alienate the people that we have worked with in the past, because there wasn't really a reason we didn't want to work with them. It wasn't we didn't enjoy those weddings. It was a case of we were trying to find an ability to charge more and earn more from fewer weddings. That was the goal, because we were doing too many weddings.
We needed balance.
And we can still find that balance. We didn't have to just put the price up to something that the average person having a wedding isn't going to be able to afford. And everyone's got different goals, so you do have to consider what your goals are, and if things that you're doing pricing wise and marketing wise and all the rest of it is in line with your market. But I think sometimes you can get a little bit carried away with, this is what I would like, but not really either having everything in place for that to happen or have considered the impact of wanting that. For example, if you solely wanted to start being a destination wedding photographer or videographer, but you've got a young family, those two things are probably not going to mix so well. They might be fine for you, but certainly for us, we wouldn't want to be doing a lot of destination work. Just like, how much time do we want to spend travelling to further parts of the country? I mean, after we drove down to Chuffin, Dorset, basically there's only one other
5-hour drive.
Yeah, it was like a 5 to 6 hour drive, and that might not sound like a lot to you, but for us that was, we don't want to be doing that very often. So especially when we can drive an hour, and there's plenty of nice weddings within an hour's drive of where we live. We're lucky that we live in the middle of the country and we can get most places quite quickly, and there are lots of nice wedding venues in the north of England. So yeah, right, we hope this has been helpful, just to sort of think about, because it's going to be the silly season for us. And we hope that by considering those things, maybe like listening to this and going, do you know what? It's been a while. It's been a few months since I've had some good bookings. Maybe I will just make some changes before things happen. Then listening to this was worthwhile. If you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, please hit us up on Instagram at Wedding Mavericks. You can email us at weddingmavericks.com. What's it called? Info. Oh, I've done it again. There is an email address. It's on the website. The website is weddingmavericks.com. We're going to get better at this, don't worry. And because it's now going to be New Year's Eve in the next couple of days, we hope that you're having fun. We actually have a wedding on New Year's Eve, so
fireworks on New Year's Eve. So yes, one final thank you from us for all of your support throughout the year. We hope that you've enjoyed listening when we've shown up, and we can't wait to get started next year on some new ideas for the podcast. So sending lots of love to you and your families, and very best wishes for the new year. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good one.